Ahoy cruise aficionados, I'm Melissa, a university professor who loves to cruise and who loves to talk ship. Are you ready to embark on a whirlwind tour of this week's most riveting cruise news? From controversial curfews to canine cruisers to tax tempest and tantalizing new destinations, I've got the scoop on all of it. So let's dive right in. First, let's talk about Carnival's new youth curfew. Now, youth escapades on Carnival cruises are nothing new. My kids personally love Carnival, it's their favorite cruise line, and part of it is because there are a lot of kids having fun. But kids having fun can translate sometimes into disruptions for other cruisers. So in a bid to curb those nighttime escapades of unsupervised teens specifically, Carnival Cruise Line has rolled out a fleet-wide curfew. Now, they've had a curfew for a while, but it's not really been really well implemented. But effective immediately, passengers aged 17 and under must be accompanied by an adult in any of the public areas after 1 a.m. Now, that's still pretty late. I don't let my kids wander around until 1 a.m., so I think it's more than reasonable, but it's got some people up in arms. Now, this move aims to enhance safety and to ensure it's a more pleasurable experience for all guests, because it is really disruptive when you're cruising on Carnival and there are just packs of kids running around the ship unsupervised, and I have seen that. Now, there are exceptions in place for kids that are participating in the official youth programs or late night excursions that are under adult supervision. And Carnival, when called out on this policy, they emphasize that this policy is about being committed to ensuring a secure and enjoyable experience for everyone on board. Now, as I mentioned, this decision has sparked a mix of applause, but also some grumbles among other cruisers. Because while a lot of cruisers do appreciate the effort to maintain the peace during the wee hours of the morning, some argue that it's really not fair for responsible teens. Now, Carnival is standing firm, stating that this curfew is being proactive, it's all about balancing fun with safety, and they're not going to back down on it. So, like it or not, it's the new rule on Carnival. Next up is a sad bit of news from Holland America line. Now, I love Holland America line. It does tend to skew a little older, but I love it. It's a fun cruise line. And if you are a Holland America line fan and you follow them on social media, which I do, you're probably familiar with their most famous cruiser, which is Joska. Joska is a black Labrador and service dog who accompanies some frequent Holland cruisers, and Joska has actually achieved a huge thing, which is nearly 900 days at sea. And sadly, Joska just passed away. So Joska was an esteemed service dog, accompanying her owners, even earning the prestigious Platinum Medallion during Holland's recent 150th anniversary transatlantic crossing back in 2022. And Joska's presence really brought a lot of joy to countless passengers and crew who had the privilege of sailing with her, or people like me who got to watch Joska's adventures on social media, and her memory will continue to inspire those who had a pleasure of meeting her. Now, Joska's adventures spanned the globe. She was quite the globetrotter. She made it from the icy mountains of Alaska to the sun-kissed shores of the Mediterranean. And her dedication and love for cruising not only provided invaluable assistance to her owner, Cornelia, but also showcased the inclusivity and warmth and fun of the cruising community. So Joska was the first service animal to receive 5-star Mariner status on Holland, so she leaves a long legacy and she will be missed. Next is Royal Caribbean's cleanliness conundrum. Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas recently found itself under some scrutiny after a CDC inspection yielded a score of 86, just barely above that passing mark of 85. Now, that doesn't seem so bad on the face of it, but when you look deeper into the inspection, it's a little gross. The inspection uncovered issues like improper food storage and, let's just say, some gaps in crew hygiene practices, especially within Johnny Rockets, which I personally don't love. I went once on a Royal Caribbean cruise and you have to pay for it, and I just thought it was kind of gross. But there were basically apparently some crew preparing and serving food in the Johnny Rockets on the ship, and they had open gaping wounds, but the less said about that, the better. So there's actually a maritime attorney. He's on social media. His name is Spencer Ehrenfeld, and he's the cruise ship attorney, and he follows these types of things. And so he described these findings as absolutely horrifying and really called out Royal Caribbean to address these issues and to do it promptly to ensure passenger safety. Now, the report has ignited some discussions among cruise enthusiasts, especially those that are loyal to Royal, with some expressing some legitimate concerns over onboard health standards. Now, Royal Caribbean has yet to release a detailed corrective action plan or anything like that, so passengers are a little eager to get some assurances that their well-being remains a top priority. So we'll just have to wait and see how Royal Caribbean responds, if they do at all. In other news, the tax man cometh for the cruise industry. U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick has announced plans to close some tax loopholes that have forever allowed major cruise lines to kind of skirt U.S. federal income taxes. All the major cruise lines, like Royal Caribbean, Norwegian, Carnival, pretty much all of them, they incorporate in foreign countries so they can benefit from exemptions under Section 883 of the IRS code, which means they pay little to no taxes. Following Lutnick's remarks, shares of these cruise line operators, they did experience notable declines, reflecting some investor concern about potential financial impacts on the bottom line, of course. Now, this development has sparked a broader debate about the financial practices of the cruise industry and their contributions, or I guess lack thereof, to the U.S. economy, at least in terms of tax payments. While some argue that closing these loopholes really ensures more fair taxation, others contend that it could lead to increased cost for consumers. Because let's be real, if these loopholes are closed, the cruise lines are not just going to eat those costs and impact the bottom line, they're going to pass those costs along to us. So as policymakers deliberate, the cruise industry faces this challenge of balancing profitability with fiscal responsibility. And I love to cruise, but I'm always very upfront and honest about some of the issues with the cruise line industry. There is environmental impact to a significant degree. There are a lot of financial shenanigans when it comes to skirting US tax law, and there are some major, I think, exploitation of labor. So I enjoy some cognitive dissonance, and I still enjoy cruising and try not to think about these things too much. But this is at least one of those three issues that is being tackled head on, and so we'll have to wait and see the impact. So that was some bad news for Carnival, but in better news for Carnival, their $600 million island getaway is nearing completion. So if you follow cruise news, I'm sure you know about this, but there's a new private island coming about. Carnival Cruise Line is putting the final touches on their lavish $600 million private island resort called Celebration Key. And side note, can I tell you how excited I am that they're spelling it Celebration K-E-Y? Because C-A-Y and C-A-Y-S are both pronounced Key. Cruisers mispronounce it all the time as K or Ks. Every time I make content about it, I have someone come along to mansplain to me that I'm mispronouncing it, that it's K, not Key. No, it's Key. So in this case, let's just solve the debate. It's Key. But anyway, Celebration Key is located in the Bahamas, and it's gonna be pretty dope. Set to welcome guests in July of 2025, and I do have a cruise booked there in July of 2025, so I can't wait. This exclusive destination promises some gorgeous beaches, lots of dining options, and tons of activities designed for a really great private island experience. Now, this investment underscores Carnival's commitment to providing these memorable experiences for its passengers. I do like Carnival's other private islands, which is Half Moon Cay and Princess Cay. Not K and Ks, but Key. They're both great, but they both have a major flaw. In the case of Half Moon Cay, I love that private island, but I hate that it is a tender port. Now, Carnival is working on building a dock, so that won't always be the case. But for now, that's the one thing I don't like about visiting there. And Princess Cay, it is beautiful, but it is very, very rocky. Because of that, it's actually my personal least favorite of all the cruise line private islands. So I do think Carnival has some opportunity here to compete with some of the other cruise lines that have some pretty awesome private island experiences, like Royal Caribbean's Perfect Day at Coco Cay and like MSC's Ocean Cay. Now, spanning 65 acres, this private island is pretty huge. Carnival's plan is to divide it into 5 distinct, what they're calling portals. And each of these portals or areas will offer unique attractions and experiences. And like you're gonna find in a lot of cruise line private islands, you're gonna find those kind of tranquil areas that are meant for quiet relaxation. And there will be other areas that are more adventure filled with things like zip lining. So as we get closer and closer to that opening date, it's getting really exciting. Cruise enthusiasts cannot wait to see what it has to offer. Next is Disney setting sail from the UK. Disney Cruise Line is expanding its horizons with some new cruise itineraries departing from the United Kingdom in 2026. They plan to sail out of Southampton, which isn't too far from London, and they will explore various Northern European destinations, including the Norwegian fjords and the Mediterranean. I did a Baltic cruise last year that visited Norway, and it was really, really awesome. Now, these itineraries itineraries have stops on iconic Greek islands like Santorini, Mykonos, and Rhodes. These sailings will be on the Disney Dream, which accommodates up to 4,000 passengers. So all cruise ships are pretty much big, but it's not one of those big mega ships. So it gives a little bit more of a pleasurable, smaller feel experience. But Disney Dream is going to feature amenities like the Aqueduct roller coaster, lots of pools, their themed restaurants that Disney Cruise Line is known for, and most of all, that magical experience. Now, these new itineraries are going to offer UK-based Disney fans the convenience of embarking closer to home while still enjoying the enchanting experiences that Disney is known for. And by the way, fun tip, I really want to try a Disney cruise, but I only cruise on free casino offers. I have a video about it here if you want to check that out. And so that's why I don't personally sail Disney. You don't see Disney content from me. I actually priced out a Disney cruise. I was willing to pay for it, but the cost was astronomical. And this was from a Florida-based departure port. And I actually, out of curiosity, priced out, as a travel agent, which I am, some Disney cruise lines that embarked from foreign ports of call, and it was a lot cheaper. So I could actually fly to a foreign destination and take a Disney cruise, in many cases, cheaper than I could from the United States. So if you want to do a Disney cruise, just something to look out for. And with these new itineraries out of the UK and flights from the US to London usually being pretty reasonable and sometimes even direct, this might open up in a more affordable way for you to cruise with Disney. So it might be worth checking out. So there you have it. Some of the top cruise news stories this week, or at least the stuff people are talking about on social media. So I want to know what you think about all these things. Go ahead and drop a comment below, and while you're at it, be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, visit my website at profmelissa.com for free cruise port guides, advice, and so much more.